Hello, everyone. My name is Jimmy Song, and welcome to a very special episode here on World Crypto Network. If you are not aware, we have an amazing sequence of events that just happened. It looks like Segwit2x is canceled. That's right. Segwit2x, the hard fork that was supposed to happen next week, is now canceled. All right, so I want to show you what's happening and exactly the mailing list thing that we saw. This is Bitcoin Segwit2x Final Steps by Mike Belshi at BitGo. And this is what it says. I'll just sort of read it to you until Tone and Vortex get on air. The Segwit2x effort began in May with the simple purpose to increase the block size and improve Bitcoin scalability. At the time, the Bitcoin community was in crisis after nearly 3 years of heavy debate, and consensus for Segwit seemed like a distant mirage with only 30% support among miners. Segwit2x found its first success in August as it broke the deadlock and quickly led to Segwit's successful activation. Since that time, the team shifted its efforts to phase 2 of the project, a 2 megabyte block size increase. Our goal has always been a smooth upgrade for Bitcoin. Although we strongly believe in the need for a larger block size, there is something we believe is even more important: keeping the community together. Unfortunately, it is clear that we have not built sufficient consensus for a clean block size upgrade at this time. Continuing on the current path would divide the community and be a setback to Bitcoin's growth. This was never the goal of Segwit2x. As fees rise on the blockchain, we believe it will eventually become obvious that on-chain capacity increases are necessary. When that happens, we hope the community will come together and find a solution, possibly a block size increase. Until then, we are suspending our plans for the upcoming 2 megabyte upgrade. We want to thank everyone that contributed constructively to Segwit2x. Whether you were in favor or against, your efforts are what makes Bitcoin great. Bitcoin remains the greatest form of money mankind has ever seen, and we remain dedicated to protecting and fostering its growth worldwide. Mike Belshi, Wences Jihan Wu, Jeff Garzik, Peter Smith, and Eric Voorhees. All right, so I still can't hear Tone. I think, yeah, I mean, he's here. Tone,
can you hear me?
Can you say, yeah, we can hear you. All right, Tone. So, what do you think of the events of the past 15 minutes? We're trying to be on air and talk about this. Oh, okay. So Tone can't hear me. So I got you. All right, can you hear me?
I got you. Yeah. This is not how I meant to do this, but for some reason I'm having problems with Google Hangouts. This is crazy.
Okay. Well, anyway, I mean, what do you think of this series of events, Tone? What?
Dude, I have no idea what happened. Like I was on.
Yeah. So basically, they canceled Segwit2x. Here, I'm showing right now the actual email that Mike Belshi sent to the Segwit2x mailing list, where he says they are going to suspend the upgrade. It's signed by Mike Belshi, Wences Jihan Wu, Jeff Garzik, Peter Smith, and Eric Voorhees. So they decided not to go through with it.
Holy shit!
So Toad, we're gonna need a take from you because the markets have responded. You can look at what happened in the last.
Wait, Segwit2x is canceled?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why we're on the air right now, because
I was on a consulting call that like just trying to explain to this like publicly traded company why they're going to go to prison, but and I had no idea what happened, and then like I get off the call and then I see the text messages from you.
Yeah, I mean, we got to go on air, right? Like there's a lot of people that are just like sort of wondering what the hell happened. So yeah, so this is the actual email from Mike Belshi from the Segwit2x mailing list. I mean, Toad, you're gonna have to show, do some charting because we're now at a new. We are literally at a new all-time high.
Yeah, no, I know. I saw that. I saw the fact that like the price is going through the roof. Like I said, like I don't sit at home like stare at the price all day. Yeah, I mean that's what's gonna happen, right? I mean everyone is happy. This is good news. You see, this is anyway. This is why I kind of kept saying for a while that like we don't know what's going to happen, and this shit was going to be mad dangerous, which is why I was taking this hard fork way more seriously than the last one. And I don't know if you saw my podcast this morning where I was calling these people out by name. I was calling them out before. It's really crazy. Now, yeah, this is I mean, there's nothing I can say, right? We're at new all-time highs. I can do a screen share of the chart.
Yeah, please do a screen share. So I stopped mine, so you can show yours.
You don't have to stop yours. You can still leave yours.
It's all fine. Let's see.
All right, so I mean, we're gonna go up. I mean, people are happy, right? Because now there isn't gonna be any danger. You don't have to. See, that's the thing, right? People wanted that stupid dividend. But in this case, I mean, people are just happy that Bitcoin is not going to be unstable next week. I mean, yeah, it'll go up for a little while. We'll see what happens. Obviously, my top call at 7,500 is off the table. Like I said in my original video, here's the daily chart. The moment we went above the yellow line, my top call was going to be considered wrong. I mean, it's a small move. I mean, I called the top at 75.05. My admission of a mistake is at 7,600. So a $95 loss from my top call. I mean, this is where you would suspend your trading, or you could buy back in if you like. Now, this resets a lot of the charts, assuming we close here, like assuming we finish the day, at these levels, we're basically resetting the charts higher. But keep in mind, a lot of people bought into Bitcoin for this dividend. The moment there's first sign of weakness, there can still be selling. Like charts are charts. I mean, if they reset us, we could go up for another up leg. Right now, anything can happen. Like there's this exuberance right now to buy in. Some FOMO is coming in. How high can this go? I have absolutely no idea, right? You just got to watch for signs of weakness. But hell yeah, people are going to take profit on this, right? Like some people are going to take profit because some people bought in for a specific reason. They converted their altcoins into Bitcoin to get that extra percentage. And look, I kept saying for a while that this hard fork is not guaranteed to happen, but the closer the day came, the more likely it was that the hard fork was going to happen. And I was still a little bit nervous and confused on what would happen afterwards. And this morning on my show, I made it clear that doing this hard fork, I didn't make it too clear, but I was insinuating that making this hard fork is going to put certain people's lives in danger because people like Jeff Garzik, and I even called out the entire Block team. If you're affiliated with Block and you screw this up, you can have a very bad person that has just lost $10 million due to your screw up, very, very pissed at you. Okay, and I don't know. I don't know how much influence we have on the market. This channel, myself, I know I had 1,500 people watching me live earlier today. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, this is obviously a good thing. I'm happy. I mean, am I happy I got the top call wrong? No, not at all. I mean, I like to be right. I like to be right. I also provided guidelines where I would, take it off the table. And but I never sold any of my Bitcoin. I was holding on to all of them. So me being wrong isn't bad for my pocketbook, and I made that clear as well. So, I mean, there's not much to say on the price right now. I mean, you just got to let it go up, ride it. We can look at the smaller charts, but I mean, there's nothing here, right? It's just one giant candle. I did have this arrow from this morning. You see this arrow? Which is ironic, right? I didn't touch this. If anyone who saw the morning video would have seen this arrow where I said, if we go above this line, your target is $600 up. But that was a big if. I didn't think we would go over it. I can go to a smaller chart, but it's just, I don't know if it makes sense. Hold on 1 second, Jimmy. I'll give it back to you.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, if you haven't noticed, in the last 30 minutes, we've gone up about $400 almost. You know, we're constantly hitting sort of all-time highs during this, you know, YouTube show. We've literally gone from something like 74, 75 all the way to 78, 88. So it's you know, the market is responding very positively to this news that 2x is gone. Now, that said, there are some questions. Are we going to have sort of like a via BTC scenario where there will be people that are, you know, it only takes one miner to do this fork. So is it possible that we have something like that? I don't know. It's possible, for example, for, you know, some miner that's got like 5–10% of the hashing power to still activate this fork.
No, that might be true, Jimmy. Any miner can do it. That's not the issue here, right? It's not about a miner doing it. It's about prominent Bitcoin personalities with following and economic following supporting it, right? It wasn't that some miner via BTC was mining Bcash. It was the fact that people like Roger Ver, Rick Falkwing, and several others, like prominent people, especially Bitmain, right? Several other people with influence were supporting it. It's all about the confidence that that coin is going to survive, right? So if Jeff Garzik and Coinbase and Zappo and BitPay, if all of the big economic nodes, if they're not publicly out selling the altcoin, even if a miner starts mining it, it becomes irrelevant.
Well, I will say, though, that there was this Bitcoin resilience hard fork that was supposed to trigger at the exact same time as a 2x hard fork. I honestly wonder what they're going to do, given that they actually had a GitHub in.
Now look, now take a look at the price, right? It's starting to pull back already, right? I mean, I did say weeks ago that we were gonna pull back whether there is or isn't this fork, right? I'm still looking for a top in Bitcoin this month, right? I'm still looking for a top in Bitcoin, whether there is or isn't a fork. Now, this is good news, right? The stock market has this all the time. You know, Janet Yellen or Ben Bernanke used to say something, the market would go crazy through the roof, and then people are like, oh, great, I was going to exit anyway, now I get to exit even higher, right? So let's see where the day ends. It is very, very possible we're going to close lower because, like I said earlier, lots of people Bitcoin just because they thought that they can make an extra $1,000 per their altcoin, right? And they can sell it just like in Bcash. I think these people didn't think this through because screwing this up would be really bad for them, right? But lots of people don't think. Lots of people thought it would be so easy to separate the coins and they can get this Bitcoin dividend, okay? Now that the news broke and the news is very positive, but the reality of the situation is that people got into Bitcoin for a certain reason. If that reason no longer exists, they have no reason to hold the Bitcoin, okay? And clearly, nobody was scared. Okay, here's the other aspect of it, right? People that, because the Bitcoin price never dropped, right? This was the all-time high, right? Here's the daily chart. This was the all-time high. So people did not get scared. So lots of people did not sell their Bitcoin because they were scared of the hard fork, okay? So that means there isn't a giant pool of people waiting to rush back in because the fork isn't happening. Like the pool of buyers is actually, it could be exhausted here, right? Like my technical calls for a top sometime this month was going to be with or without the hard fork, completely independent of the hard fork. Now, this hard fork news might cause some, crazy volatility in the market, but the market is the market, right? You still need new buyers. Will this removal of a hard fork bring in more buyers into Bitcoin? Well, maybe, unless all those buyers were already in Bitcoin. And now you have a certain percentage of Bitcoin holders that are going to say, well, I got in to, split my coins. I'm not going to get to split my coins. Let me go back to Ethereum so some idiot programmer can lose more of my money.
Now, let me ask you, no, this mailing list, Tone.
Let's introduce Vortex. Vortex is joining us. He had to go wash his hair, so he was a little late. But he's now here. Vortex, what do you think of the situation? What do you think of what's happening right now?
Holy freaking cow. That's what I got to say. Never underestimate the power of the community, people. Never, ever underestimate the power of the users. And this is what we're seeing here. This is an absolute amazing win. I am absolutely ecstatic. Almost fell in the shower trying to get ready quick enough to be on this podcast. I'm still here, got a little bruised up, but I'm still here. And I just want to say, like, thank you so much to the community. Thank you for everybody who was watching us. Thank you for everybody who had their no 2X sign on their Twitter. This is a huge win. Now, let me ask you, Jimmy, on this mailing list, did they say that they are completely withdrawing it, like completely as far as the actual fork? Like, will it not happen, or are they just withdrawing their support for the fork?
It says we are suspending our plans for the upcoming 2 megabyte upgrade, and that was signed by Mike Belshi, Wences Cesares, Jihan Wu, Jeff Garzik, Peter Smith, and Eric Voorhees. So it's it looks like sort of they got together and said,
right. That's what I mean. Big names, right? Well, like any miner can go ahead and still do it, but without the big names promoting it, it's irrelevant, right?
Absolutely.
It wasn't via BTC that caused the fork. It was people like Roger. Because they were promoting it as the real Bitcoin. It's all about your media power, actually, which is no different than in traditional markets, right? I mean, if the media was saying how, the Facebook IPO would have been, probably wouldn't have, I mean, it still tanked, but it wouldn't have been hyped up, right? Like, media has a lot to do with it, and your influence has a lot to do with it.
Wow. So this is, I mean, this has so many consequences. One name of note that's not on that list is Roger Ver. And he clearly made 100 Bitcoin, 1,000 Bitcoin bet. That's now not going to, do anything, I guess.
That's unfortunate. I was looking forward to those guys making 200 Bitcoin each.
Absolutely, Tone. And, a lot of people have commented on Twitter, and, rightly so, that though we have won this battle and such, the bad actors like Jeff Garzik and such, they're still not going to be punished, right? They're still going to be CEO of Block. They're still going to have all of these companies that can potentially bring more harm to Bitcoin in the future. And so I just hope that on this show, we can recognize these bad actors as bad actors.
Hold on a second. I don't know if they're bad actors per se. Think about it. They helped get Segwit on the network.
2X, that was UASF. That was UASF, dude. 2X is an attack. Come on. From every angle, 2X is an attack.
I think they deserve at least some credit for getting the miners to signal and everything else. I don't know if it was
Jimmy, let me. I'll answer it. I think they deserve credit for having 2X go smoothly. I don't give them credit for getting us 2X. I don't give them credit for getting us Segwit. Segwit was going to happen. I give them credit for making it a smoother transition so that people did not lose their Bitcoin in the process, so that transactions continued to be smooth. I give them credit for making it a smooth transition into Segwit and not a violent transition into Segwit. But I'm not going to give them credit for getting us Segwit. That was us.
Absolutely. That was the users, man. The miners were stalling Segwit forever. I mean, Segwit was ready last year. I mean, it was months and months that they were stalling with no sign in place. No sign. Even you, Jimmy, said there's no way that Segwit is going to activate it. There was no sign in place until the user-activated soft fork really started gaining ground.
All right, so I just want to pause and thank the 1,421 live viewers. Please give us a thumbs up and a share so other people can find this video. Obviously, there's a lot going on right now, and we're still trying to parse what's going to happen and how this is going to actually play out. I mean, I would love to get more guests. I'm not really sure how to do that. Actually.
But I'm with you, Jimmy. I'm with you, Jimmy. These guys are gonna stick around. They're gonna try again. They're gonna try some more bullshit. They're not gonna be held accountable for what they've done. Like, how much time did they waste? How much of our time did they waste fighting them? How much of core developers' time did they waste trying to prevent them from doing that? Like how much core developers' time was wasted. And now these guys are going to come back out next week and they're going to talk about how slowly Bitcoin is scaling after Segwit, after like causing all of this wasted time. Like, this is what frustrates me. So I actually wanted this hard fork to go through. I actually wanted some billionaire drug dealer to lose $20 million so he would hold these bad actors accountable. Okay, I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to a hard fork too, but it looks like it's not going to happen. Certainly bad for my article views. I had a part 2 planned. I was in the middle of writing it, and you know, I was going to go through like an attack scenario and all that stuff, and it would have been a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it looks like oh man, I had this really good article on like the Keynesian versus Austrian view of Bitcoin that I was going to you know, make, and I still might write that article, but yeah, it's rather unfortunate that I'm not going to get like 100,000 views on these articles that I was planning to get. I also wanted to talk about like Bitcoin resilience. I don't know if you guys have heard of this hard fork, but it's a hard fork based on, I think, one of the co-owners of Bitcoin.org and BitcoinTalk.org. Basically, he was going to switch the proof of work to cuckoo cycle, which is one of the most ASIC resistant algorithms for proof of work. And you know, the plan was to launch on the exact same block that 2x was going to launch. Do you guys still think that may happen? What do you think of that?
I've never heard of it. I have no opinion.
Jimmy, you know, you and I both, man, have pretty much been saying how, you know, 2018 is going to be the year of the hard fork. So I don't see this as a particularly valuable fork any more than the other Bitcoin forks that have already happened and will happen. I guess it has to prove itself to see what if it can build any community support.
Yeah, so I mean, I would love to get one of those guys on here, but it doesn't look like yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. That said, I mean, the price is actually pretty exciting. I did notice that almost every crypto is up right now. If you look at the coin market cap, it's like green all the way down, which is very interesting because I think my previous thesis was that people were moving from altcoins to Bitcoin to get their free 2x coins. And if that's the case, then you know, they should have pulled out by now because there's no 2x hard fork.
And I still say, you know, real quick, sorry, Tony, real quick, I still say that there's not as many people as you guys think that were buying Bitcoin in hopes of getting free coin. Because I mean, it was in the futures market, it's only going to be 10%.
I agree, Vortex. No, I agree with that. But it doesn't take much to move the price of Bitcoin, right? If I can do it with my tweets, it really doesn't take much to move the price of Bitcoin. So. No, but what I have to say to that, because Jimmy is noticing how every crypto is up. My reason for that, look, we all like something happens in the price, just like the mainstream media. And now I got to come up with some, you know, reason off the top of my head why that is, right? Whether I'm right or wrong, I'm like another talking head, right? So if on the spot you're asking me why is every crypto up right now, my answer is the following. By removing this hard fork, it creates stability in Bitcoin because the Bitcoin floats all boats. If Bitcoin goes down, the whole idea of crypto being a store of value gets evaporated until there's a new Satoshi, okay? So without this hard fork, there is stability in Bitcoin. Stability in Bitcoin means the future for the entire space because Bitcoin going down, everything is over, right? So by removing this hard fork, you're creating more stability, more security in Bitcoin, which lifts all boats in the world of crypto.
Right. I mean, except a lot of the times, though, we do, of course, see when the Bitcoin price goes up, we see the alts take a dive, right?
Right, but that's, yeah, that's true, but that's independent, right? Like in this particular case, right? In this particular case, it's stability of the entire ecosystem, right? Like stability means something, right? Like
no, I agree. I mean, that's why I think we're going up like, you know, like crazy because this proves Bitcoin's resiliency. It proves the stability that there actually could be a store of value in crypto.
Right, and this could also be a blow off top because look, we're up 10x for the year, which is like, look, a lot of people are going to say they were right, but my top call was technical. My top call was technical with some fundamentals in there because of the fork. I mean, I'll stand by it.
I mean, Tone, there's no way, Tone, you could have, or anybody could have predicted that they would have called off the fork. I mean, with all the ego that was going on, I mean, even with the lack of support, these guys were full on. Like Jeff Garzik didn't last week. Jeff Garzik just post something that says 2x full steam ahead. Like that was the name of his article.
Right, I agree. Wow, like everyone's like calling me right now. It's like nobody knows I'm doing a live stream.
Everybody's like, Tone, your call, it's not working. Look, I mean, obviously, you know, the technicals play a huge role, but yeah, this was a fundamental that nobody saw coming, in my opinion, because they were very, very, very gung-ho about this fork. They were very positive about this fork. You know, Jeff Garzik, up until even a few days ago, was still championing this fork. And again, Jeff Garzik just pushed an article that says full steam ahead with the 2x fork. So this kind of came at a bit of a surprise. Like we knew it would have no community support, but this is amazing. This is a full-on admission of defeat.
Yeah, this is just getting crazy. The fact that it got just canceled, and then like I think we're maybe like 40 or 45 minutes into this announcement, and Bitcoin is up like $400. It's
right, let the news settle. Let the news settle. Like this is not the time to be trading right now. I mean, yeah, if you got a margin call, then you stay out of the market. But like, let the news settle. You don't know what this means yet, right? I mean, look, I can spin this in a horrible direction that a couple of guys can just come up with an idea and then cancel it and mess with the market. Like this is not good either, right? I mean, like some guy, Jeff Garza, that got kicked out of core because of an incompetent programmer, can then start an entire movement to change the code of Bitcoin and then cancel it last minute. You know, like controlling the price of Bitcoin, right?
This is an attack factor that had to be.
This is not good.
This is an attack factor that had to be executed, Tone, at some point. We had to see if Bitcoin could survive it. And now that Bitcoin is proving that it can, I mean, the big institutional investors are all about to jump in.
Right, but it's proven that it can with insane volatility. I mean, if you're a hedge fund, all you got to do is like go to bribe someone in core, you know, or not in core, but bribe someone prominent, a developer, and try to do this again, knowing that the plan is to like do something opposite with an announcement the week before. I mean, go watch the show Billions. This is what they do.
All right, so I'd like to welcome Thomas Hunt. He's joining us from Amsterdam, I think. Thomas, what do you think? What do you make of the events of the past 45 minutes?
Well, I'm still amazed that this is really happening, and I want to make sure that we don't make any kind of mistake. Bcash was also called off. Remember that Bcash was originally the backup plan of the exchanges, and the exchanges kind of just left their backup plan out there, and then someone executed it. So first of all, are any of them still going to list it? Is Coinbase going to list it? How many people have actually said they're not doing this thing?
Well, it's pretty much everybody, no? It was Mike Belshi, Jihan Wu, Eric Voorhees, pretty much
but they're not exchanges, right? They're not really exchanges. So I don't think exchanges have had the time yet to fully comment. I think we're going to hear from the exchanges like Coinbase, like Bitfinex, like Poloniex.
We do have a statement from BitPay. Let me share what they're saying. Let's see here. Yeah, it is.
But BitPay is also not an exchange.
Yeah, it's not. But here's Stephen Pear saying Segwit2x should be canceled. BitPay's participation in the New York agreement was intended to help. It sounds like this was written actually a little bit before the announcement that Mike Belshi said. So I wonder if this was sort of like the trigger for Mike Belshi and Jihan Wu and all of these other guys sort of getting together and saying, all right, you know what? There are too many guys leaving this boat. We better leave too, and that was sort of what happened. But you know, this looks like it was written a little bit before. I mean, had he known about this other announcement, I'm sure he wouldn't have said it quite this way.
Right, and and if people, though, a lot of people watched my stream early this morning when I was saving. Well, like, oh man, like I had so many, I had so much shit talk about this 2x thing that I was gonna save for like our videos over the next week. Thank God I got like 10% of it out, so I got to at least name people by names, name their companies by names. And like at least I got 10% of everything I was thinking out this morning, because now I'll never get the chance to really dig into these people.
Well, I tell you, Tone, Whale Panda and his articles have been doing a great job at that. So at least we have a few people in the community, I think, that are calling out these bad actors. But yeah, it's just ridiculous how they continue to how all these people continue to think that 2x was going to be huge and take all the hashing power, and it's kind of crazy. But just real quick, I do want to thank our donations. We're actually getting a couple of donations already in here. I guess Arthur Garcia wants to know my real name. My real name is Jeffrey Jones, people. Jeffrey Jones. But other than that, thanks guys so much for joining us. I'll give it back to you, Tone.
Oh, wait. Before we do that, we now have 1,894 live viewers. Obviously, a lot of people want to, watch something during this very eventful time. But yeah, it's give us a thumbs up and a share. Let's see if we can break like 2,000, which we're now at 1914. So it looks like we may very soon. But thank you so much for watching.
I want to go back to what Tone was saying earlier. I do think this was an attack on Bitcoin, and a very successful attack, and one that we have to look at in the future. I was talking to Luke Dash Jr. today on Twitter, and he seems that we're ready for a proof of work switch. He believes any proof of work switch will give us more security and get rid of these bad actors. Remember, the people who were going to have a coup here, they've left, but they haven't really left because they're still here mining. So we need to decide what to do with the people who tried to have a coup.
Absolutely. I mean, Jihan is still there. Mike Belch is still at BitGo. We have to remember these people that attempted this coup. This was absolutely a coup, an attack. They tried to take the repo, and they were unsuccessful.
I think the proof of work switch is a little extreme. I'm not on board with
I think the proof of stake switch is extreme, but I still go for both.
Well,
I don't agree with the proof of work.
Yeah. It's way too early for a proof of work change.
It's extremely difficult to do as a soft fork, and even if you do it, there's no guarantee that you're not going to have the same centralization later.
Yeah, I'm not on board with that yet. I mean, look, I was all in support of Luke and went against Greg Maxwell, and all in support of Luke for the user activated soft fork stuff. I'm not with Luke on the proof of work switch yet. Okay, maybe in the future, maybe he can convince me, or maybe there'll be a bigger need where I'll be on board with that. I'm not in for it yet, but this is probably not the right time or place to talk about it, but I've lately been having more and more discussions on this idea of like quantum computing, and is SHA-256 a safe encryption mechanism going forward, because it has been, a good 10 years since Bitcoin was created with this mechanism, and how long will SHA-256 be a secure method within the Bitcoin's underbelly?
Well, so SHA-256.
I mean, we haven't found
SHA-256.
One at a time. One at a time. Jimmy, go first.
So SHA-256 is the hash function. With quantum computing, the bigger concern is ECDSA. It's not so much that you can find a pre-image of SHA-256. That might be something, but really the bigger issue is being able to break ECDSA, which would allow you to sort of take coins, whatever. But that's why you shouldn't reuse addresses. You're also protected by SHA-256 and RIPE MD160. So I mean, quantum computing may do something for ECDSA. Maybe at that point, like. You use Schnorr signatures with another curve or something quantum safe or something like that. But that can be actually soft forked in because you can use Segwit to have version 1, and that can use like a different ECDSA method. You'd have to add in a couple of opcodes or something like that to make that happen. But that's something that we have the capacity to do now that we have Segwit on the network. But you know, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
It does seem like, though, with the existence of the ASICs, that SHA-256 is already broken. That the ASICs have broken it and made it not as efficient as a good proof of work mechanism.
Well, it made it efficient. It made it efficient, Thomas, right? But it didn't. It did make it more centralized. It didn't make it less efficient. It actually made it more efficient. But unfortunately, as you know, made it more centralized. But this is important. What Jimmy said about Segwit. We can now, because of Segwit, soft fork in a new proof of work algorithm. We actually
not proof of work. It would be
not proof of work,
ECDSA or some way of signing
new encryption methods.
Absolutely. And this is really important because moving forward, Segwit versioning will be used for all sorts of amazing things, and this is just one thing. And it's also important to note that we haven't found any collisions in SHA-256 yet. I mean, we just found some in 128. So I mean, SHA-256 has years of legs to go. I'm really not worried about any type of threat from quantum computing anytime soon. I mean, we're talking 10 years out.
And remember, that would break the banks and break the CIA, break everyone else.
It would break the internet.
We want to thank We Smoke Bitcoins for donating $100. The chat's all upset. We didn't stop what we're talking about right away, but we want to keep talking about other things too, chat. We have to multitask here. But go ahead, continue, Tone. Is it going to be attacked again? Do we need a proof of work switch?
Well, I think he wants to talk about price now.
Oh yeah, he's got the price up.
I mean, I kind of said what I wanted to say. Like, I don't think we need a proof of work switch yet. I mean, look, I want to give these miners, like, look, I'm trying to be reasonable here, right? I mean, doing the right thing eventually, if it leads to doing the right thing going forward, I'm okay with that, right? Well, like, I don't know how many strikes they're gonna have. I mean, maybe one more. Like, I think that between the Bcash hostile takeover, I mean, the previous ones weren't ever executed, right? Like Bitcoin
Unlimited, Classic,
right?
XT. How many times do we got to do this?
Right, no, but they weren't executed, right? So the Bcash hard fork was executed. That's strike one, okay? I would call this one a strike two. Even though this wasn't executed, it came down to the 11th hour. Okay, it came down to the last minute, and it clearly caused havoc in the entire ecosystem. So to me, this is strike two. I think if there is a strike three, then us as a community need to then start discussing, not executing, right? I think if there is a strike three, I think then there should begin discussions on how to safely execute a proof of work switch and keep this thing decentralized and remove the bad actors. So that's kind of how I see it on that front. As far as the price goes, again, just you don't panic and when things go bad, and you don't become irrationally exuberant when things start to go good. You step back, you take a look. I'm looking at the price now. We're pulling back a little bit. I don't know what this means yet, right? At the least, we should pull back to the previous high. This is just the hourly chart. This is a 15-minute chart even. Let me go to the hourly. Hold on. It'll be clearer. Here's the hourly chart. And look, we busted out. We busted out above the previous high. So I would actually like to see a pullback back to this high to retest it for the time being. Now, I'm still expecting 5,000 for whatever reason. We'll see. Maybe I'll come off that target. But for now, I mean, I don't know where it's going to go. Nobody does, right? I can look at my indicators. I have an 8, so maybe one more hour of like upside, and then a little bit of a pullback. Nothing goes straight up and nothing goes straight down. It's a lot harder to call a top than it is to call a bottom. And I tried, but the Segwit news broke us to the upside. This doesn't mean we're going to go to 10,000, guys. It does not mean that, okay? This is just short-term reactions to probably the biggest news we've had since Segwit, and probably the second biggest news we've had in 2 years, okay? These things are bigger than the CME stuff, right? Because those things aren't even trading yet, all right? So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I mean, my view has been the same. You hold on to your Bitcoin, and if you want to, gamble with like 10% of your Bitcoin holdings, fine. You should just enjoy it, and hopefully you were on the right side of the trade. Clearly, I would have been on the wrong side of the trade, but I explained my reasons for it, and I would do it all over again.
Yep. I tell you, Tone, I really, I've agreed with your calls, but I feel like we're going to go to 10K pretty soon. Obviously not today or something, but I mean, we could go to 10K in 2 weeks very easily, could we not? Did the technicals say that we could be at 10K?
That's the thing. That right now, I mean, anything. I mean, look, Bitcoin moved $1,300 last week. It moved like $1,400 last week, right? The week, 2 weeks before that, it moved another $1,300. Like, yes, Bitcoin can go higher, but realistically, how high can it go? I mean, in 2013, we had 2 moves of 10x, but each of those moves was followed by a 75% plus correction. This year, we already had a 10x move, right? Like, like I said, the previous 2 times Bitcoin moved up this much, it was followed by 75% corrections.
This is a 7x move, Tone, right? It's not a 10x yet. We started out the year at 1,000.
Well, I mean, who says the year has to start on January 1st, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we were at 750 last November. So
Yeah.
a year to date is a 10x move, right?
I want to thank our over 2,000 viewers. Julio Yu has a question for you, Tone. Tone, are you still haunted by the 1,300 retest?
Less now. Less now. Less now. Like, because now from these levels, I fully expect 5,000 to hold. At this point, I mean, I would like to go into next year, but at this point, I'm fairly confident that 1,300. Now that the 2x hard fork is off the table, now we still have to go through a week. Well, let's make sure that nothing crazy happens on the countdown to the what was to be a hard fork. So probably early on in December, I'll probably significantly lower the chances of going back to 1,300. But yeah, just going back a bit here for you, Vortex. Like here's November of what day is today? I said year to date. I meant 12 months of time. So here is November 13th, and the price is $700, right? So in exactly 12 months time, we have gone up 10x from 700 to 7,700.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
Right, that's amazing. Can we just take a quick second to like thank all the developers of the ecosystem that were preparing for this, all the late nights they had to do. I mean, they're still working. They still have to prepare for this just in case. But I mean, because there was no native replay protection, all the developers, I mean, everybody, BitGo, BitPay, everybody had to prepare. All the exchanges, they all had to prepare for this fork so that they could keep their customers' funds okay, and and not have this attack be successful. There was huge amounts of work, socialized cost, Jimmy, that you call it, that went into the ecosystem. So let's just thank the developers right now. Thank you guys so much for having our back and for putting in the code that Jeff Garzak should have put in.
Thanks, guys. Oh, one more quick thing. Like this morning on my podcast, I said the following, and I was gonna talk. We were gonna be going live. I was gonna try to go live with Jimmy later this week. Where you can I don't know if this was FUD, but here's what I said on this morning's podcast, and maybe you can correct me. And if that was FUD, you can correct me ahead of time. I said, because when we had our discussion with Paul Stortz, you or him made it clear that by not putting replay protection into the protocol, it was left up to the wallets. And I thought about that for a few days. And on this morning's podcast, I said, by putting this responsibility up to the wallets, you just made every wallet make a choice. Do they want to exit scam and steal your Bitcoin by screwing with the replay protection? If you're in a wallet that is not very known, that isn't very trusted in the ecosystem, could the wallet have coded a split of Bitcoin for you, but coded it in a way that the wallet gets to replay you, steal their users' Bitcoins, and disappear?
I don't think so. I mean, you can always update a binary to be malware or send to an address that's bad or something like that. But in general, that's extremely difficult to do. And it would be obvious because the transaction right away, you would be like, hey, that's not the address I sent to. So that's probably not a real possibility. you have the private key. So unless the software is compromised in some way, you get to determine where it goes. And even if it gets split or whatever, I mean, you can always do that with a wallet, which is why it should be open source. So, people can examine the code and say, hey, don't use this wallet. This has malware in it or something like that. But as far as like exit scamming, I don't know if that's really like a reasonable thing that someone could do and get away with. That said, there's another question from Tiago Bijani. I don't know what that R stands for, but I guess it's some currency. Showed the community is not united. BTC was unable to exterminate those instability rumors from the beginning. That slowed down the growth for weeks, months. Therefore, who has benefited from the recent weeks? What do you guys think, panel? Who's benefited from sort of the uncertainty in the recent weeks? Oh, hey, Eric. Eric Lombroso is here.
How's it going, guys?
That's a good question. Hey, that's a very good, hard question. I think we should repeat it so Eric hears it, and I'm hoping he jumps in first.
Okay, all right. So the question was, who has benefited during the recent weeks? The Tiago is saying that there was a lot of instability and rumors going on. Who benefited by this instability in the recent weeks?
Well, I mean, obviously, anyone that had any information about price action and stuff like that. I mean, there was definitely a lot of stuff that people could have done there. I think that maybe just I'm trying to really think of like the reason behind all this, and I don't know whether the reasons that are being said publicly are like entirely honest. Obviously, I think there are a lot of different motivations here. I'm not going to try to guess them all, though.
Well, I mean, what do you think of this whole thing? Like, why do you think they pulled the plug on 2x?
Well, I just think that maybe they realize that it's just going to cause a lot of problems for them, more than it's going to cause a problem for the people that they are supposedly opposing, right? So it's kind of like like pointing the gun back towards it yourself. So I think that they finally just realized that maybe this is not the way. So yeah, that's what I hope. At least.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe we can finally understand and agree that agreements don't work. Agreements don't work in Bitcoin. We do not use agreements. We use consensus, right? We use community feedback. We use the people who are running their node software. We use social media. We use all sorts of different things. It's very messy, but it is definitely not an agreement that we all just sign and then that's Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if that was how it was done, that'd just be the fiat system that we're currently using in most nation states and whatever. I mean, that's just been the way that people have, done things with signing agreements like that. I think we're really trying to explore something new, novel in the space, and I think that's what makes it interesting. Is that we can actually are able to have this consensus that doesn't require anyone to actually. There is no requirement of external enforcement outside of the protocol and the economic incentives alone.
We'd like to welcome Ron. He's host of CNBC's Crypto Trader. Ron, what do you make of what's happened? Oh, your audio is not working, so we'll get back to you in a minute.
This is how we do it live.
Yeah, I had issues with audio as well. It's a little weird today with. All right,
but we do have a question from Tipsy Bartender. Tone, how long do you think it will be before we get hit with the coming correction to Bitcoin's price?
I don't know. This news has to. This news has to get absorbed, right? I honestly don't know. This is not the time to be calling predictions. I'm not calling anything right now. Like, the answer is, I don't know. Would I be trading this market right now if I was actually live trading? Absolutely not. I like to trade markets where I have a probabilistic advantage on a trade. If I am to trade right now, I am completely guessing. The only time I would have considered putting in a trade was the moment we were breaking out above 7,600. That's it. If you missed it, if you were getting a cup of coffee during that time and you missed the buy point at 7,600, and you came back to your computer 10 minutes later and it was already 7,750, that's it. You're done. You're gonna wait. At least me, I would wait until I have some kind of a advantage in the numbers for a trade. Like right now, we're already pulling back to 7,600, the breakout point, right? So even if you bought that breakout point and you didn't sell the top, thinking that it's going to 10,000, you're about to get back to your break-even point. I can guarantee you guys that if we go back below 7,600 right now, we're probably going to go back down. And people are going to be very, very confused as to why the hell. I'm not even sharing screen right now. I probably should. Hold on a second. Application, here we go, right? Like we just pulled back down to like 7610, okay? So that's the thing, right? The breakout point was 7,600. The moment the price of Bitcoin goes back below 7,600, people might actually start to panic, and they're not going to know what the hell is going on. This is why this is not the kind of market you really want to be trading, okay? It's weird right now. Just watch it, enjoy it. Hope you have Bitcoin in cold storage. But I'm not calling anything right now. I'm going to wait until, the price stabilizes and it gives me something to look at, because right now it's just wild, wild west.
And one more question for you, Tone. Conrad Braun asks, why do you favor CME cash settlement over BTC settlement?
Because no Bitcoin gets put at risk. Okay, but the main reason why I don't trade is because I don't trust Bitcoin exchanges. I don't trust my Bitcoin to anyone. With the cash settle, I'm just trading fiat in my professional exchange, right? Professional exchange. Guys, if you've never traded on Interactive Brokers, on TradeStation, on Thinkorswim, Options Express, I can keep naming them all day, right? If you've never traded on a Bloomberg terminal, if you've never traded on a professional exchange, then you have no idea what it's like, okay? So I can trade on my professional exchange with professional execution, and I don't have to put my Bitcoin at risk. So I'm very happy for this cash settle. Now, it's going to be weird because the CMEs are closed for the weekend, and they're also closed for an hour in the afternoon, but Bitcoin doesn't take breaks, right? So it's going to get a little weird around settlement, and it's definitely going to get weird holding a futures contract Friday into Sunday night and not being able to trade it in case the Bitcoin price moves. So, but as far as settlement's concerned, I'm happy for it.
Okay. Great. I just want to point out something that Paul Sorts tweeted out. I want to share a screen with you real quick. And this is sort of the futures market on Bitfinex. And if you take a look here, let me try to make the screen a little bigger. It says BT1 USD is 7,600. BT2 USD is 106. It's come down $823. Obviously, people are not expecting this fork to happen anymore. It's gotten kind of crazy, but yeah, everything has just sort of come down drastically for BT2. Anyway, yeah, let's welcome in Ron. Can you speak into the audio? See if we can hear you.
I think Ran is still getting his audio video.
All right, but Andy's here. Andy's here. What do you make of everything that's going on?
I feel like I'm at the Greek pantheon with this amazing panel of people I respect so much. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you think caused this 2x to be abandoned?
Well, I mean, actually, I wrote this morning a tweet that I said, I'll bet they're about to cancel it. I mean, I didn't expect it to be this morning, but look, everyone here knows that there's no support behind this. I have a feeling there's a lot of messing with those ultra thin futures contracts from the beginning. And we've just watched every single day waiting for somebody to show that they cared about this thing. And no one stepped up to the plate. And what do you know? This is what happens in financial markets and companies. Things just fall apart. And this is a company and a financial market, not a protocol like the real Bitcoin. So congratulations. I was just writing at Crypto Gold Central. I think this is the biggest moment in Bitcoin history. I think the wall of institutional and retail money is going to be coming in, and 2018 is going to redefine the monetary universe.
Wow.
I agree with all that. I wanted to add one comment to all this, which is that we should not get too overconfident. I think that this is hardly the last attack that we're going to be facing, or the last situation where there is some kind of contentious fork that is being pushed. It's important that we keep on building defenses and understanding just the general strategy of how this whole system works. And you know, I'm going to continue working on this stuff a lot. So you know, just I think we should definitely. It's a moment of celebration to know that, you know, that this kind of situation, you know, is not, we're not going to face a situation that we didn't want to face, but we should expect that there will be probably some pretty nasty situations in the future. So just keep that in mind. Hey
Ron, do you have your audio working yet? Oh, Ron, it's still not working. I'm sorry. I just want to thank all the different people that are giving us donations. Somebody asked, I'll just call out the questions. You answer whatever you want. Isn't the price going to miss the pressure coming from hard forks FOMO? Did B2X have the futures market? How much is it worth now? We showed that already. And a round of drinks for you folks. Thanks for all the great work.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much for the donations.
I had problems with my audio as well. It only worked. It worked when I changed the audio to my camera mic. Like my camera mic seems to be working, but my audio jack is not. That could be an issue with Google Hangouts. So you might want to give that a try. Switch it to the camera speaker mic.
That settings icon at the top, that gear icon.
Yeah. At some point we'll get Ron on. But anyway, question for the panel. Do you think there's any miner that may mine 2x come November 15th? Do you think maybe somebody is sort of stealthily thinking, hey, I'm going to hard fork anyway. I still believe in this vision. Anybody on the panel think that's possible?
Well, I absolutely think. I'm going to push back to it. I think it's absolutely possible that somebody just like Bcash goes out and, like, you know, puts the code out and executes it, and somebody somewhere runs a miner or node.
It's always possible. That can happen at any time.
Actually, write
something we need to be prepared for at any moment.
Right. See, like I said, the big difference between the Bcash doing it, they had community support, right? I mean, who are they going to get? Like right now, who are they going to get? Like everyone just signed. Anyone important except, I guess, Roger. Anyone important has signed a new contract saying that they're not going to support this thing, right? Like who's left? Who is around with, you know, even 30,000 Twitter followers that's going to push this thing, right? I mean, look, me and Jimmy have 30,000 Twitter followers. I'm sure Eric does as well. Andy does. I mean, we do who is left? Like, is there any prominent personality on the internet that is going to pump this thing? And my answer is no. And also, don't forget, at this point, if someone is going to do this, they will have to do it with replay protection, right? Because that's the only way they're going to get listed on any exchanges. So if someone was to do this, they would need to implement replay protection in the next 7 days and get people in the community to support them. Now, of course, they can try to get Bcash people to support them, but that's going to be weird. So I'm actually not, I don't think it's going to happen. But hey, look, the price just came back down to 7,600. We're now below 7,600. So this is what I mean. You got to let this news settle in. People got over, a bunch of people bought into this thing at 77, 7,800, and they're sitting on losses. One of these people are going to cut their losses, right? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing dips right now. This is why it's very, very hard to predict. If you did not buy into Bitcoin the moment it broke out to all-time highs, you should not have jumped in on this news, because this is what we call, this is like the inverse of capitulation. Capitulation is when you have like the bear whale at the bottom of a bear market, and then it just crashes and then everyone like just goes crazy. This is the kind of thing that what I see right now. Bitcoin, I was calling for a top in Bitcoin regardless of the outcome of this fork. I mean, we've just gone up a little too far, and everyone thinks we're going to 10,000. Like everyone, more people think we're going to 10,000 than the people that thought that life was for Bitcoin was going to end, like, you know, back in March during the first hard fork. Just there might not be that many buyers left, and when there's no buyers left, the price has nowhere to go but down. So I'm not calling for this to go much higher yet. I mean, the charts might change, but we're already back to the breakout level. Now, this is a support zone. It's actually an important support zone. Like if we don't bounce off of 7,600 and we go back to 7,500 and below, this thing could sell, because a bunch of people rushed into buying Bitcoin on this news, and they're sitting on huge losses, or they're going to sit on huge losses if we fall back another $100. And then these people are going to sell. They're going to add to the selling. This is why this kind of irrational exuberance of gold. And I should probably share a screen again of the chart. This is why this irrational exuberance isn't exactly ideal. I mean, this is how blow-off tops happen. Again, this is the thing. Like one of the things that was bothering me when it came to the price of the daily chart is people said, well, Tone, by your own rules, there were way too many chances to sell the top. And that is correct, but not this time, right? If the price goes down a few $100 more, you only had 5 minutes to sell the top. This is how things top for natural corrections. All right, I'll leave it here for now. We'll get back
so
to that.
anyone else on the well, Eric, speaking of replay protection, you were working on chain split. What are your plans with that? Are you still going to go forward with sort of generalizing replay protection?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, if this news is really true, then it changes the panorama quite a bit. I still think that the threat of a hostile fork is very real. You know, whether regardless of who attempts to do one, I think that it's something that will probably be done again. So it's important that the R&D continues on you know, different mechanisms for obtaining split coins in case there is some kind of you know, a consensus failure or chain split, and ways to help users have control over their coins on different chains if they need to, and that kind of stuff. So, you know, all the infrastructure that needs to be in place so that people can quickly, you know, if there is any kind of event like this, respond to it, I think is important. So that, I think, is still going to remain a really big focus. And I'd like to see more research on general consensus rule changes, like, you know, of the fork research and, you know, different ideas for how we can do these things in the future better.
Yeah, I agree 100% with everything that Tona said and what Eric has said. The fact is that everyone is going to be out for Bitcoin from now until forever. The thing is that, you know, as we're learning, it's becoming anti-fragile, anti-volatile. All these things just make it stronger, and it brings more people on board, more smart people on board to protect it, and it makes the community that much larger. So, of course, people will attack it. I don't think we'll ever see something like this again where people are worried about the chain being split. But certainly there's a lot of, you know, now we're going to have bigger fish in the world that are going to be scared of Bitcoin. So, you know, the Chinese government may do more, the US government may do more. But the fact is our side is getting stronger. And I think that this was a giant statement for the long term that we're here to stay.
Okay. And it's really interesting to me, some of the scenarios that people laid out. People even like Rhett, you know, saying things like 2x and Core will just kind of fight each other and kill each other, and Bcash will come out the winner. Some just crazy predictions that obviously we're never going to come true.
Hey, Ron, can we test your audio? Okay, still no audio from Ron.
Perfect video though, but
perfect video, but no audio.
Yeah, guys, I just want to.
Hey, you guys, I'm gonna have to run pretty quickly, so I just wanted to say thank you for having me on the panel. I always enjoy chatting with you guys. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to chat soon, and this is definitely a very, very interesting story. So I'm sure that we'll have more to talk about soon.
Thank you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Later, guys.
And the same goes for me, guys. I was literally out the door. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Andy.
Anyone that I haven't spoken to before, it was a pleasure to meet you for the first time. Happy day for everyone. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, thank you, Andy. Hopefully we could get Ron to get his audio working. But yeah, pretty much we do have you know, this is momentous news. In case you're just joining us, Segwit2x has been canceled. Mike Belshi, along with a lot of the other supporters like not Roger Veer, Jihan Wu and Eric Voorhees and some other people, they all decided to not go ahead with the 2x hard fork. It was announced on the Segwit2x mailing list. Stephen Pear also expressed his disapproval of the 2x hard fork on a Medium blog post. All this happened in the last hour and a half, and we're seeing a lot of price action as a result. I'd like to thank the 2,300 live viewers that are joining us right now. Please give us a thumbs up and a share so other people can sort of see more of this video. Anyway, let's take it back. Hopefully, Ron, is your audio good yet? Any chance? You're gonna have to start holding up signs or something. Yeah, I'm not sure how we're gonna do this. But
we just gotta learn how to lip sync. We just gotta learn how to read lips, and we'll be fine, people.
Yeah, we need subtitles on Ron. Yeah, so it's quite frustrating at this moment. But yeah.
Tone's got something.
Tone, you want to show us?
Look, I'm just looking at the price, guys, and look, I know everyone is happy, but just because we have good news in the market, like I keep trying to tell people, this doesn't have to, like, the way markets react is not always obvious. Okay, now look at this candle right here. Like, we still have a long way to go. The news is still being absorbed. Okay, but when you if this candle goes all the way down, I mean, look, we're already below the prior all-time high, right? This is the kind of candle that tops markets. Like, and very often markets top on amazing news. Okay, now let's say, hypothetically speaking, this is the top for the year, right? And we start to go down, and we do go to my $5,000 target. Let's say that happens. The question is going to be like, was I right or was I wrong in calling the top? Well, it depends, right? It looks like I was wrong because we broke through it by hundreds of dollars. But look, if the price falls any lower and then does reverse, because these are reversal patterns. This is what I was looking for, but I kind of gave up looking for it. Coming in close to the fork, we were hitting the targets. And I actually was taking this fork seriously. I mean, I tried not to display to the viewers that this shit was making me nervous. So I'm actually kind of happy for my coins that that nothing is going to happen. I'm still expecting nothing to happen. But the type of patterns we are making right now in the price is how markets top. These are topping patterns. So I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? I'm going to wait and see these days to close. But this is a 4-hour candle, right? If the daily candle looks like that candle, I mean, we would have to fall all the way down. We would have to fall, I would say, below 73.50. If we close the day below 73.50, there would be nothing in this chart that would give me any kind of confidence that we're going higher. You have to wait and see. You still have to wait. We're back at 75.70. You have to give the market time to digest this giant news. This does not mean, and I'm just saying, it's just the type of price action that tops markets. I'm not saying it's going to top markets, but if we close in these ways or fall another $100 before the close, this is going to look more like a top than the start of a new rally. News or no news.
Wow. So some sobering news in the midst of our celebration. You can always count on Tone to be a wet blanket sometimes. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, hey, we're in the 7,000s, guys. Let's be happy, right? We are in the 7,000s right here.
All right. So there is this maybe people are sort of leaving. It does feel like something is happening right now. I'm just checking out some of the prices for some other things. A lot of altcoins are up 20-30%, which is very interesting. It does look like people are going maybe to those other coins at some point. I'm not really sure. But yeah, if you look at CoinMarketCap, it's green all around except for Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Well, Bitcoin is up 6%, but still, it is kind of a big contrast. How do you guys think this affects Bitcoin Cash, if at all? I mean, there are people just sort of like that were counting on what Vortex said earlier, that Bitcoin and Bitcoin2x would fight it out and they would sort of run away with whatever they were fighting over. I never really saw that because there wasn't this, I don't know, the entire premise of Bitcoin Cash and to some degree 2x was premised on this huge user demand for making lots of little transactions or something like that. And we never really saw that on Bitcoin Cash, or for that matter, Litecoin or any of these other coins where, you know, who was, you know, demanding this many transactions. And, you know, that certainly doesn't seem to be the case. You know, what's your opinion on Bitcoin Cash at this moment?
I can go first unless somebody really wants to jump in.
I'll go after you, Tone. Go ahead.
All right. So I can't believe I'm about to say this. I think this is huge, good, positive news for Bcash. And it pains me to say that. I think that with the 2x, if the 2x was going to cause some havoc in the Bitcoin markets, I think that it would have damaged Bcash significantly more than it would have damaged Bitcoin. I think that the majority of the miners that would have been mining the B2X would have come from the Bcash side, because those miners only care about disrupting Bitcoin and making money. And also the big blocker community would have been split in half between Bcash and 2x. Now that community, as horrible as successful as it is, that community can now unite with each other to push Bcash down the throats of unsophisticated and unaware investors. And they can now try to put Segwit on top of Bcash, right? Because I don't know if anyone saw that like cartoon where like a nervous guy deciding which button to push, add bigger blocks to, if anybody can pull that up and share screen. Like it's like this nervous guy in front of two red buttons. One says add Segwit to big blocks, or add big blocks to Segwit, right? So now this bad actor community can once again unite behind a single scam coin, and they can try to push that onto unsophisticated investors. So I'm actually, in a way, I mean, honestly, this isn't really all that good news for me that this happened. And I think the market is already starting to realize, like, this is what I said, like, be careful here. Look, we're already down below 7,500, okay?
Looks like a doji candle. Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here, but it seems like good news. And this is why I wasn't, as enthusiastic as a lot of you guys when this happened. I mean, I saw the news as crazy and important and critical. But as far as when people actually absorb this news, and I think people are starting to absorb this news now. And look, and I know I'm going to be accused of Tone is just talking down the market because he wants to be right about his top call. This is the same argument people have. Tone is a Bitcoin maximalist, and that's why he hates all of the shit coins. No, they're shit coins. That's why I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. Look, my view of a Bitcoin top is regardless of it. Do I think this is good news? Yes, there is some Bitcoin stability, but in reality, to be honest about this, I wanted to see this hard fork. I wanted another group of bad actors to be pushing another shitcoin so that they don't bother us. Now, one of two things is going to happen. These same bad actors are going to try again, which is Eric Lombroso's bad scenario. And for me, now Bcash remains a bigger problem for us because that community did not get split, and now that community can unite. So I do not see this non-event of the hard fork as being as good as most people think it is. And
yeah, I mean, I agree with you.
We'll see what the price says.
I agree with you. I've been thinking that same thing. Hey, Ron.
We can hear Ren.
Ron.
Hey, my microphone's working.
Yay.
Woo. Great news.
All right, so Ron, what do you think of what's happening?
So I shot a whole show today, which I was going to air tomorrow, about how bad Segwit2x was. I had Charlie Lee arguing with Bobby Lee on TV. One brother to another was for Segwit2x and said that it's not an attack, it's just a software upgrade. And the other brother saying it's an absolute attack. I mean, I had it waxed. And,
I was going to be on that show too, right? That's the same one you filmed before?
You're still going to be on that show because you're still going to be on that show, and Vortex, so are you, and Jimmy, so are you, because we have to shoot it again before tomorrow.
That's crazy. That's how this is Bitcoin, man. I try to tell people things change fast in Bitcoin. They really, really can change overnight.
I do have some inputs here about what's going on. I think the first thing that's going on is we've proven that Bitcoin is unstoppable, and I think that's a major victory for Bitcoin. But I think the price, like Tone says, has overheated. I think when it got to 7.7, we were in very dangerous territory. And I'm comfortable at around 6.5 to 7 at the moment. Because I think the run-up was all about people getting two coins. and there's no more 2 coins. So we need to be at a level where all it reflects is the fact that there's now the futures that are coming up. And I don't think that that level is represented at 7.5 or 7.3 even. I also think that if you're holding Bitcoin Cash, sell while the going's good.
Well, I got something to say on I got something to say on Bcash. I guess I'll comment. Like we know that as far as how this 2x canceling affects Bcash, we already know that Bcash only pumps when Roger travels to South Korea, right? We know that the BitThumb exchange is like pretty much 100% responsible for the rise in Bcash. And I think that what this is going to prove with the cancellation of the 2x is that people, like Tone said, they can now unite around these blocks.
I'm sorry, Vortex.
Oh, we got Tour.
Look at the price. No, but look at the price, guys. Look at the price. We are now significantly lower than when the
below 7,300. We're below the 7,300. Wow.
Let's let Tour comment.
Right.
Tour, what do you make of all this?
Hey guys.
Tour, first tell us about what you think about the 2x, and then let us know what your thoughts are on the price.
I mean, I'm excited. This is something to celebrate. I think it really, yeah, man. I think it shows that
the price disagrees with you, Tour, and I'm with the price.
Very interesting. So you think it's a loss for Bitcoin? You think it's like sad that we didn't get?
No. I think I agree with Ron here. The people were expecting a second free coin, and if you were in this just to get a free coin, and now there's no free coin, you're out, and that's fair.
But the futures markets only ever put the price at 10%. Is that worth it to people to be putting in a ton? Okay.
10% in a week? Absolutely. Yeah.
People that trade like Tone do, 10% with no risk is free money. So
right. Yeah. And not just that. Tour, you might have missed that part. I just explained that this is a huge win for Bcash, and the fact that these bad actors did not fork off themselves, and now they're still going to be around. I mean, I can probably name more negatives by not. And honestly, in a way, the more disruptive this fork would have been, I think the better it would have been, because it could have actually caused a lot of these people to leave the community either by force, by some notorious people who lost money because of their incompetence, or by maybe by honor, by causing giant incompetence. And now these people are going to be around. Like, by not having this fork at this point in the last stage, I can easily make an argument that this is a bit negative for the Bitcoin ecosystem than positive. It's a hard argument to make, but I can make it.
I don't know. I still feel like they lost their, their claim was that there was a consensus, that it was an agreement. And so either if they had pushed through and then it would have failed, or by now backing off, it just shows the same thing, like that.
I know, but
this was a very contended hard fork, and I think it was an attack on the Bitcoin network. So I'm glad that it didn't happen, because it would have been likely the most disruptive event since the chain split in 2013.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna play on my show tomorrow, I'm going to play the Bobby Lee interview that I did. Because in that interview, he was so confident that this is not a fork and that it's a very small group that are not supporting 2x. He was adamant. He kept saying it. We all agree that 2x is the right thing. We all agree. And he said that the people on Twitter were the vocal people. That's it.
Wow. Yeah, you still have to air that, Rand. You still have to air that, just so people understand how adamant the 2x team was about this being an upgrade, being good for Bitcoin.
Well, so one interesting data point is that Tur and Tone were there, but at Scaling Bitcoin, Bobby Lee actually refused to answer any questions about 2x, which I found interesting.
Yeah,
I wonder if he had if he had wind of this whole thing coming up, and he just didn't want to comment because he knew that things would. Like this was in discussions, and I'm sure his company was involved since they signed the New York agreement. Whether he just wanted to sort of make sure that he didn't sound stupid later on. Ron's interview withstanding, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think he knew, because he was so confident in the interview that it was happening. That he was basically saying to his brother and to Vinny, that they're being idiots and that this thing is going to happen and there's going to be he said about 10 to 15% we're not going to support Segwit.
Well, I mean, that's true of mining hash power. I don't know how the price would have done.
Yeah, I remember doing a poll on Twitter, and I got I think it was 5,000 votes, and 75% was supportive of the legacy chain.
Hey guys, hey Tor, you
consistent with other polls out there, and then add to that the futures market. So it's just like, I don't know. At some point, like, are you trying to influence the audience by claiming that there's a consensus, or do you actually believe, in the face of everything that's telling you the contrary, that it's just very, very strange to me how people kept insisting that there was, you know, an agreement or a consensus.
Hey Tor, take a look at my screen.
Wow.
What does this look like to you?
Below 7,200.
Scale of this.
It's 7,000. It's 7,000 at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah,
this has to shake
We
out.
just dropped $900. What does this look like to you?
That's doji.
Correction.
It could be a top. Yeah, it's. I think we need a few more days to wait it out. It definitely, like, I mean, like, the main thing in a phase like this is that a loss of momentum can cause quite a bit of damage technically, because, like, people are expecting it to keep going up, and so if the expectation is not met, even if you go sideways, then the risk is higher that you start going down faster.
Wow, below 7,100 now.
Well, I mean, this is Bitfinex is
it's below 7,000.
It's below 7,000 on Bitfinex. And you know, fast-moving things sort of tend to create like a divergence between exchanges because people can't, you know, sort of arbitrage between them fast enough. But Bitfinex is below 7,000, and Bitstamp is, I think, still above 7,000.
Yeah, we're back up. We're back up to 7,000. I mean, it's moving fast, but it's all about where we're going to be in 12 to 24 hours. And if we're down at 7,000 in 12 to 24 hours, I'm going to see this as a huge technical bearish sign.
Yeah.
There would be absolutely nothing positive in the charts if we close tonight and going into tomorrow at the $7,000 level.
But even if we corrected, of course, tone back down to 5K or so, I mean, would we not by the end of the year be already back up to 7K?
This year?
Yeah, this year. Okay.
No. Maybe Q1 of next year, sure.
What about if the futures market launched by the end of the year?
I don't think that's going to have as much of an effect as people think.
Even if it actually like officially launches?
Yeah, because there's no underlying Bitcoin being moved in those futures. They're just cash settled.
Yeah.
It's like saying the futures of the S&P 500 are moving the price of the underlying stocks, and that's just not true.
Gotcha.
Wow. Go ahead, Rob.
The Bitcoin price is jumping up and down. We back up to 7,150.
Yeah, that was quick. What happened?
It's freaking volatile as hell right now. We're Bitfinex back over 7,150, dude. This is insane.
I mean, look. I mean,
we're moving hundreds of dollars in seconds.
Don't forget. I mean, these exchanges. I mean, they're not like. I mean, they can't handle this kind of volume. The order books are thin. I mean, you're going to see $100 spreads. I mean, this is why it's jumping like $100. I mean, the spreads are probably wide as hell right now due to liquidity.
That's insane. But yeah, obviously this is. I mean, we still have 2,350 viewers on this thing. I'd like to thank all of them, and please give us a thumbs up and a share.
How many live viewers, Jimmy?
2,350.
Wow. Awesome, guys.
Which I think might be close to our record. I think we had.
No, we hit over 3K on that Bcash. We went over 3K live viewers on that Bcash stream.
Okay, so we're still pretty high though. I mean, we don't really get this high, but oh my goodness. So Tor and Ron, what's your take on what will happen over the next month? I think we know what Tone's thinking. Yep. So price wise, where do you think it's going?
I don't know. Like, I just look at. I try to look at the. I have seen a bit more life in the altcoins. So I think it's possible that if Bitcoin kind of cools off, that some of those could spike. But yeah, I just try and take it day by day. I'm pretty, like, in terms of where I'm at, I have quite a bit of cash. compared to my Bitcoin position when it comes to trading. But yeah, I did catch that rally up to 7.5, and so now it's like.
Did you sell? Did you take a bunch?
Right now it's like sideways, and then I want to see if it either breaks down or moves up.
Hey, Tour, did you take a bunch of profit at 7.5, like around the? Because I called the top at 7.5. Did you take a bunch of profit there?
Yeah, I had a sell order at 7.5.
So then, Tour, but what do you think about like the end of the year, though? I mean, what do you see Bitcoin at the end of the year with all the news that we've had so far and everything? Like, how do you see it, both price wise and just in general? Like, do you see it growing stronger and stronger? Like, what do you think? My
main worry is, I mean, I guess I'm always worried. But like, if there's a raging bull market, that's like when I'm the most worried. I rather have things like blood in the streets and panic, and that's when I feel like in my element. But so, yeah, at this point, I'm worried about people selling because they're thinking about their tax bill. So they might want to lock in some profits to make sure they can pay this year's taxes, capital gains taxes. So, that might put some downward pressure on Bitcoin at the end of the year. And then, of course, I mean, even in the most crazy bull markets, there are periods where you have to take a breather for 6 months or something. We saw that in gold as well in the 70s. So it's, maybe the announcement of the ETF weirdly could be like, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Sure. No, we love it, Tour. We appreciate
it. There's just, I do see increasingly that lay people are buying. And I don't know if the infrastructure is ready. I think lay people are going to get hacked. They're going to lose things. There's going to be unexpected events for them. I mean, like the other day, my Uber driver told me he had bought 2 Bitcoins. I hadn't even mentioned cryptocurrency at all. Like we were just chatting away, and then he was like, it was like about being courageous or something. He was like, oh yeah, like follow your gut. I just bought 2 Bitcoins. And then one of them was invested in he said what he was making interest off of, which is probably some kind of Ponzi scheme. So I don't know. Like I think that probably the infrastructure is now behind where the price is. I think that it's trying to catch up, but.
So you agree with Tone? It seems like
I don't feel that confident that the market, like Kraken, is down for the moment. There's probably other exchanges that are going to be down, and I think some exchange hacks are still possible.
Well, Kraken goes down all the time, but yeah, let's go. Let's see what Rand says. Go ahead, Rand.
Yeah, I think the exchanges can't handle the volume at the moment. I'm just watching Bitfinex, and Bitfinex keeps freezing, so I don't think they can handle the volume. My bet on the price is under 7,000. So I think that between 6.5 and 7,000 is probably more realistic and closer to 6,500. I think the reason for that is, like I say, people wanted their free coins. They're not getting their free coins. And I think that what's going to keep the price over 6,000 is the ETF, is the futures. That's really all that's driving it.
Would additional hard forks change your mind? Because there may be more hard forks coming. I know Bitcoin Silver, Bitcoin Resilience, they were being discussed as potential hard forks later this year.
It depends on what the reason for the hard fork is. I think if you look at Bitcoin Gold, which was you want to call it a fork, but I mean that didn't do anything to the price, and reasonably so. So I think forks can be good value for buyers as long as there's a good reason for the fork. I think this was a case of people saying, look, we in the last fork we got Bitcoin Cash. The Bitcoin Cash coins became worth a significant amount of money, and if we hold on to Bitcoin, we're going to get free coins again. And I think that's a fundamental mistake. I think now the market's going to cool off and realize, hold on a second, there are no free coins coming, and therefore we've got to think to ourselves, what is the value we're putting onto Bitcoin? And I think we've had a very big run. Guys, 50 days ago, I remember this because my son was born 50 days ago. And 50 days ago, Bitcoin was trading at $2,980. I'm going to remind you guys, 15th of September, my son was born. I was in the maternity ward trading Bitcoin. I don't tell my wife, but
holy crap, that's a dedicated Bitcoiner right there.
Wow, 2,900. That's so crazy.
I missed the bottom though, and the reason why I missed the bottom is because my son was born exactly when the bottom came, so I had to hold him, take a few pictures, and then by the time I got back, it was back at 3,400. So
I don't think your son will mind at all about this story in the future when you have given him a little bit of Bitcoin. I think he'll be quite thankful.
Vortex, I called him Neo Dash. So.
Oh, what do you know?
All right, guys. So I actually have to get going. It's just want to say my goodbyes. I'm not
final thoughts though.
Yeah, just final thoughts. I mean, I'm supposed to be the price guru, and look, like the moment we got on the stream, I told people not to just watch it because it was just weird. So I have nothing to say on the price. I'm gonna probably do a video tomorrow because we need to see how this shapes out. Let's see where it closes. But all I can tell you is, if the market is, if we froze the market right now, and this is where we're gonna be tomorrow morning at this price, I will see this as a very bearish technical sign over a bullish technical sign, as far as the market is concerned. Okay, I'm gonna just flip out my camera. I'm gonna wave goodbye to you guys.
I'll meet you on Skype. Turn, I'll meet you on Skype.
Yeah, we might have to do it in like an hour though.
Okay, let me know.
I'll text you. All right, later.
All right. Well, Ron left. Okay.
Because he wanted to reshoot our interview from this morning.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just do that real quick for 5 minutes with him.
Well, I did mine like last week. I guess we'll figure it all out.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get some last thoughts from Tour maybe.
About the fork? Or
about all of this.
About everything that happened. Anything that you want to say, you could talk about anything you want.
I mean, like, I think the big picture for me is that this is such a massive win for, Bitcoin immutability. I think it really shows that, markets have, in the end, it's the market that decides what they want to give value to. And yeah, of course, you can have Bitcoins that have 100 megabyte blocks or whatever, and you can call it whatever you want. But in the end, I think the market does value finite supply, immutability, censorship resistance, all that stuff. I mean, the Bitcoin dominance index, it's above 60 again. I'm not surprised. I think part of why this whole altcoin boom happened is people were impatient about all these, smart contracts and scaling possibilities, and so they funneled a bunch of resources away from Bitcoin. And I think a lot of that money is coming back home, regardless of what the Bitcoin price itself does. I think relatively, it's still incredible if you think of it. 60% of all the value in this whole space is Bitcoin. And so the contrast was kind of interesting to go to scaling Bitcoin and seeing all these engineers and, all in all, pretty dry, maybe with the exception of Bobby Lee's, performance, I should say. But then looking at some of the ethereal videos where, people have prompters and where, there's like all this visual magic happening behind them. It's just really interesting for me to see the differences in culture. And despite Bitcoin having so much less bling, it's still being very, very dominant price-wise. That's fascinating to me.
Well, one would argue that's the case for that reason. I think I had a Twitter exchange earlier this week about how Jameson Lopp said something like, "These are like the stingiest millionaires I've ever met." And I said,
absolutely.
That's absolutely right. Now go take a look at all the ICOs and what kind of parties they're throwing.
Yeah.
And it's short time preference versus long time preference. Absolutely. It's very clear to me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Tour. Thanks so much for coming on, man. We really, really, really appreciate it. I sent you the link. I didn't know if you were going to come on, but man, you did. And both we and our audience, very much thanks to Tour. Thank you. And thank you for all that you do on Twitter as well, man. All of your information.
And congrats on your CoinDesk thing. You came in as a top 5 analyst. Fully deserved, in my opinion. I think you should have been up higher, actually. But I'm very, very proud of you, and I think it's very well deserved.
Awesome, very much, very much. Thank you, Tour, for everything, man.
See you guys. I'm looking at it now.
All right.
Have a good one, Tour.
All right, Vortex, you want to say your final say?
Yeah, I'll do my final thoughts. I just want to thank everybody again. We had over 2,000 live viewers. I mean, this was a really great really great event, and I'm just so happy and so proud to have been part of the No 2X movement. Really started here first by Thomas and the World Crypto Network. We really wanted to get the word out to people to tell them that this is an attack. This is not an upgrade, and so this is something that we have to. This is something that should have been researched, and so now the community has spoken, and the 2X is pretty much completely dead now. So we can really just celebrate. And though Tone has his thoughts about how this could be negative for the system, I think all of us except Tone pretty much all agree that this is a huge win for Bitcoin in general. A huge win.
I agree with Tone. I gotta say.
Okay, so Jimmy and Tone, both Jimmy and Tone are saying that this might be a bad thing, but I think everybody else, and myself included, think that this is a huge event. This is hugely positive for Bitcoin. As Tor said, it proves its resiliency and just complete resistance to fall back to a centralized type of system. And so that's really my final thoughts. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And we are definitely in early days, and this is where I think we're about to go to the moon. This is awesome.
All right, Thomas, your final thoughts from Amsterdam.
All right, so I think this is a great thing for Bitcoin. We came really close to the end. I think that their attack of renaming Bitcoin as something else is a very strong attack and shouldn't be underestimated. The fact that they had the exchanges and the miners working together made this a really strong attack. I also agree with Luke Jr. and others that we still have the same bad miners in the room. The same ones that wanted XT and Classic and all the other Bitcoins. They're still there. We still have this mining centralization problem. We still need to work on it, maybe with a proof of work change, maybe with a proof of stake change. But at least we have time now. That's the main thing that they've given us, is more time to provide technical solutions to these problems. So.
All right. Good stuff, man. So I wanna bring this back to something that I was reading the other day. I was at the bookstore and I picked up a book on one of the presidents that not a lot of people know about, Andrew Jackson. And the book started with something called the nullification crisis, which was a big thing at the time. South Carolina didn't want to follow federal laws or something like that, and they were, saying stuff, and I forget exactly how it resolved, but that's kind of what this reminds me of, is that there is sort of like this contingent that's very dissatisfied with the way that Bitcoin is working. And they were sort of, that South Carolina obviously was suppressed in the nullification crisis, but 30 years later, they came back and there was a full-blown civil war. So my message to the community is that, yeah, you might have won this battle, but I actually think it should have been fought next week. I think it would have been a lot better for it to have come and gone instead of having it sort of at some point in the future. The factions are still there, and thinking that it's all over right now is not necessarily the case. Had the nullification crisis sort of resolved some other way, and it was in the end the fight about slavery, they just didn't really admit it. Had that been resolved a little earlier, maybe there wouldn't have been so many people that died as a result of the Civil War. I'm kind of thinking the same thing for Bitcoin. If you don't take care of crises, it's just going to build and make it worse. I personally think that there's going to be a bigger fight down the road. A lot of 2X people, they have some egg on their faces, but do you think they're going to forget? Do you think they're now all like, one big happy family as a result of this? I certainly don't think so. And there will be more hard forks. And I really wish that replay protection could have been implemented throughout the entire ecosystem. I wish that wallets would have added, lock time, coin control, things like that. I think that would have made Bitcoin a better secure store of value. I agree with Tone that that would have been better for the Bitcoin ecosystem than what we currently have. That's not to say that what we have right now is bad. I mean, I think it's very good that we managed to sort of show social anti-fragility to Bitcoin that wasn't there before. That wasn't clear before, and that's a good thing. And we also kind of have a sense that miners and businesses, they're really, really scared. That's definitely the sense that I get, especially given now that we have two precedents in UASF and this current thing is that, you know, they'll just sort of hold out to the last minute, but then they will capitulate. That seems to be their pattern, and you know, that may cause you know, the core dev backers or, you know, just people that are supportive of no hard forks to maybe overreach at some point. I don't know. I can't. I do feel like this sets a precedent. I'm not sure exactly how that affects later things, but you know, I think this is a good thing because almost everything is a good thing for Bitcoin. But at the same time, there are things to worry about, and it's not all good news. That said, I'm so happy that you guys could join us for you know, this very ad hoc 2-hour show that we just sort of did off the cuff because we saw the news and we were like, we got to get on air right now. I can't believe like almost 2,500 of you guys joined us. Thank you very much for your support. And you know, let's in Bitcoin. Thank you very much. And I think Thomas, I'm going to say my sign off, and then I'll let Thomas say his sign off. This song is done. Thomas.
All right. Bye.
Keep talking.